Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to look at the Hornady overall length gauge and how that tool works so that you can find the lands where they start in the barrel from the chamber. So I've got all the stuff right here. Let's get a close-up and kind of zoom in and see what some of these tools are and how they work. And I've got just an old Savage 243 barrel here, so we'll play around with this, and I've also got my other rifle out here, so I'll kind of show you how this whole thing works, and you can start building some really accurate rounds using this method. So let's take a look. All right, let's take a look at some of the tools we've got here. So this is the main body of the tool here, and what you've got is a little locking collar here. This allows you to loosen this up and slide this plunger in and out and lock it down. And we've got cases, so depending on what you're reloading, say it's a 243, which is what we're working with here, the case has been drilled out and threaded to fit this tool here. They make these for 300 Win Mag, 7mm, just all kinds of different stuff. So based on what you're loading, you'll have to choose the right one. But we're going to go with the 243, so set that aside. Now you've got this base, and this base works really well for checking basically loaded bullets is what I use it for. But you've got this collar here. What you do is these just pop on here like so, and I center this, and you can just give it just a little snug, don't make it too tight. And then I zero my dial caliper. I do highly recommend using a quality dial caliper. Don't go to Harbor Freight and buy them. They are very inaccurate, and they don't last very long either. So this is zeroed. Now this has this little puck insert here. This is mark 24, and that's for the 243. Now they also have them for this is mark 28, this is 284, 7mm, 22, and 30 cal. So you get a lot of options for some of the real common cartridges. So what we have to do next is thread the case onto the tool. And what I do is I just run this down to where it just touches. Give it just a quick snug. Don't make it too tight. This is all, you know, aluminum and brass. So. And then I make sure that the plunger make sure this is down in the case a ways. Now, when I drop my bullet in there, this should fall in quite a ways. There it goes. So it's deep in that case. Now, basically what we're doing here is, this is an old Savage 243 barrel, and you get your chamber here, runs down, and somewhere in here, the rifling, the lands start in the rifling. And what we're trying to do is figure out how far down that is. So you can take this tool here and drop it in there, put just a little bit of pressure on it, and then what I do is I come back here and I loosen this up and I push that plunger, down in there a little bit, and then I just snug that up. Now when I pull this case out, bullet's not coming with it. The bullets are in the lands down there, and there's not any neck tension here, so the bullet is able to, you know, move freely. So because this is a barrel and I don't have my, you know, the rest of it attached, you can just take this and smack it a couple times, bullet comes out. Not so easy on the rifle. So what I do is I take a cleaning rod and I just run a cleaning rod down, and you just barely tap that bullet and it comes sliding right out, so it's not a big deal. Now if you drop this in here, this is now the overall length of the cartridge to this particular chamber. Now every chamber is going to be different, so and every bullet is going to be different. So what we'll do now is I slide this up in here, and see it's got a little cutout down here, so this lower arm can slide up and get a nice measurement. So what I do is I'll just wiggle that around a little bit, make sure we're nice and flat there. So we're measuring right about 2.278 for the overall length. Now this measures it to the ogive of the bullet, so you don't have to worry about the tip. I'm sure many of you know that if you're working with hollow point style tips, they can be quite inconsistent. Even the plastic tips can be fairly inconsistent, so it's best to just measure it off the ogive. Now, how does this work in a real gun? Let's put the real gun up here and take a look. So basically what you need to do first is you have to take the bolt out, and what you'll do is you'll take this bullet, set it in there, make sure that you loosen this up a little bit and make sure that that bullet slides down in the case a ways. Then just snug that. Now this whole piece just slides right on up in here into the chamber, just like we did on the other barrel. I'm going to loosen that up, slide that forward until it touches. Now we're in there. I want to make sure that the body of this and the plunger are both in there nice and snug, and then I'll just lock that up. Now pull this out, and same deal, my bullet's gone, so I've got to grab a cleaning rod real quick, and I'm going to just pop this barrel out, or this bullet out. Okay, so I've got the cleaning rod in here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but there comes the bullet right there. So this can be a little challenging if you don't have a removable mag, but so there's the bullet right there. Now, same deal, we'll just pop it in the case, set this up, take a measurement, and we are at 2.273, there we go, 2.273. That is to the ogive of the bullet, base of the case. Pretty simple. Now, one thing you can do is, I have a loaded round here. This is where this is where this tool comes in kind of handy, and that is you can just, I run this up, get this nice and centered here, lock that down, re-zero it. Now with a loaded round, it just gives it a nice flat base here, and you can spin it around. 2.235, this gives me just about 30 thousandths of a jump roughly up to the lands, which is where my bullet seems to get the best performance. So okay, anyway. So we got to see some of these tools here and how they work, and Hornady makes a great product there. It's very consistent. I've enjoyed it now for several years, and I've gotten some really good results by playing around with the seating depth and understanding the relationship from the bullet to the lands, and whether or not that bullet jumps or is up into the lands. Sometimes I like to just be touching them. Sometimes they like a 10 thousandths, 30 thousandths jump to that lands. This particular bullet, the 108 grain Hornady, according to the specs in the Hornady book, this thing was jumping a long ways. So as I played around with the depths in this, I found that anywhere between 10 and 30 thousandths jump from the ogive to the lands is where kind of that sweet spot is for these particular rounds. So as you can imagine, when the bullet is leaving the case here, they call that the jump, right? So that bullet has to jump until it contacts the lands. Now, you know, is the bullet going to jump perfectly straight, or is it going to go this way or this way? All kinds of things can happen, and if the bullet enters the lands just slightly off, just a tiny bit off, that throws the bullet off when it leaves the barrel. It's not entering the lands absolutely perfect. So the closer you can get that to the lands, the better off you are. Some bullets like a long jump, and it's basically the design of the bullet. Burger, for instance, it's been my experience at least that all my burger bullets love to either be touching the lands, no more than 5 thousandths off the lands, or even jammed into the lands by a couple thousandths. So, you know, every bullet's different. Now, I want to stress again, you have to measure this for every different bullet. You know, if you're shooting a Hornady 108 grain or an 87 grain or whatever the case is, or Sierras or Noslers, you have to measure each bullet for your particular rifle. Now, that doesn't mean that you own, I don't know, 4 7mm and you go, okay, well, here's my Hornady and here's my case, and it's going to work great. I've measured it once, but it's not the same on every gun. Every gun will be drastically different in most cases. So just kind of make sure that you're kind of doing your homework on this, and you're not going to find load data for jump and you know, seating these things on the lands and things like that. This is going to be part of kind of creative learning it yourself on what it likes and what it doesn't like, and you don't want to get yourself into an overpressure situation or you know, something like that where you're jamming these things, anything weird. It's, you know, I can't tell you how to do that. I'm not going to tell you how to do that, actually. So this is up to you to just kind of learn for yourself and play around with. And you know, what I like to do, I will give you this hint. So the book says 2.777 I think was or 2.770 I think is the factory specs for the 108 grain Hornady. Now that is tip to base. That's not measuring out the ogive. So I loaded a bullet, or loaded a cartridge, and I measured to the ogive and the base of the bullet there, and thought, okay, well, so now I know what that measurement is. Now, then I can take the Hornady over a length gauge, put that in my gun, and figure out what that jump is. Now I started moving up about 10 thousandths at a time and gradually worked myself up until I found the kind of that sweet spot. Again, that was 10 to 30 thousandths for my gun. But it might not be for yours. Maybe yours will actually like to shoot right up on the lands. It might like a 60 thousandths jump, who knows, but that's something you have to do. What I would do is I'd take a target and do like a 3 or 5 shot group at each, with each bullet, seating depth difference. So if I had, you know, 5 thousandths, 10 thousandths, 20 thousandths, 30 thousandths, whatever, I would group, and then I can select the best group. Now I can play around with the seating depth just a little bit, you know, 2, 3 thousandths, or I can play around with my powder charge a little bit and kind of really narrow down that what that gun likes. So, but you can't really do this without this tool. Now you can make your own tool, and you can do it other ways. There, before I knew this tool existed, I was doing it with paint on an old case I had loosened the neck up on, and what a hassle. These aren't that expensive, and they're really good. So anyways, thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned a little something. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them within a day or two. So enjoy.